Booyah!
Oh my gosh.
Woo!
Can you greet the saints properly, please? Can you greet the saints properly?
Hello, everybody. Hello, saints of the Most High.
Yes.
We are here.
We are here.
We are here.
We are here. Hello, everybody.
I messed them up. They ain't not gonna come back.
Oh.
Booyah!
We're so unscripted.
I caught them off guard, guys. Sorry.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Totally Us Unscripted.
Hey.
I am Winsome.
I am Sylvia Carroll.
I am Sharita Denise.
All right.
Nice.
All right.
Well,
Sharita Denise.
I mean,
We
good
are-
God.
We are
Yes.
so happy to be here this evening.
Yeah.
So happy.
Oh, and as we welcome everyone into the room, let us know that you're here. Tell us hello so we can greet you and address you
Yes.
properly.
Say something.
So before we get started, I want to, as we do every week, or we try to do, is we try to highlight a Black business,
All right.
right?
Yeah.
And so in honor of Women's History Month,
Yeah.
which is this month,
Right
this
here.
month of
Right.
March.
Right here.
Yes.
We're here.
I would like to highlight these two women that are sitting next to me. And so, what? What?
Really? See how you do?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
You gave me an assignment and I
I was getting ready to say you had one.
and I am
Well,
delivering, and I'm delivering very well.
Okay.
All right. So I would like to feature this evening Matters of the Heart Solutions. And so if you need a heart check, please visit mattersoftheheartsolutions.com,
Yes.
where Coach Carroll has a phenomenal coaching program to help people to get their heart check intact.
Beautiful.
Okay.
That's nice.
And if you have an event or if you need someone to manage your
Oh, she doing a number tonight.
Wow.
You need a low-key manager that will make sure that, you know, your contracts are in order for your engagements, please check out Platinum Legacy Productions, aka Sharita.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Okay.
because I am actually sitting next to history makers, and so I feel like it is appropriate to highlight them tonight. So
All
I'm
right.
done.
We see what you're
You see
doing.
how you decide.
But you know what? You know
Uh-uh.
what?
Nope.
You know
Yeah.
what?
You're not. It's not your turn.
Yeah.
It's not my turn. Oh, it's not my turn.
Yeah, but I'm gonna
Because
pass
I'm gonna
the baton really quick.
Yeah,
Over
yeah,
since
because-
you went off.
Yeah.
I did not go off. I did what I was supposed to
Right.
do.
So since we're acknowledging all of us on today, us too,
Women's history.
we can't leave one. We're the Trinity, right? So we can't
Uh-oh.
leave one out.
Okay.
We can't leave one out, right? You can't go with one without the other. You need all three to
All
get
right.
connected in,
Okay,
right?
All right.
All right. So soul care is what, Sharita?
Huh?
Soul care is the best,
Best care.
the best care, right?
Soulology.
Soulologist in the middle. She has an upcoming 6-week course.
That's right.
Building
Get it out.
trauma-informed leaders.
Come on.
So if you would like to join that course,
That's right.
see none other than Winsome McLean. You can go on all of her social media sites
Yeah.
and you can access it. Check it out.
Check it out.
Peruse through her
Peruse.
social media pages
Come
because
on.
there is something there for you
It's something
for
there.
a better care.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
And it's
Some
really
of
the
y'all,
truth.
y'all been trying to do it. You might as well go ahead on and stop playing.
Yeah.
Get your trauma care information.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it. Mm.
So why are we here? Since we ended with that note, thank you. Why are we here?
Greetings.
We know that we're here because we inspire intentional living,
Mhm.
and we have been inspiring intentional living for about a year now.
Wow.
About a year now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And So I want to give this quote.
Okay.
This quote says, "Simplicity is complex.
Okay.
It's never simple.
Mhm.
To keep things simple.
Mm.
Simple solutions require the most advanced thinking."
Mhm.
And this is by Richard Morton. I read this because my sisters over here, my besties, my friends, my other hosts, they do things that you would think are simple, but simplicity is complex. And to keep things simple, simple solutions require the most advanced thinking, which is why I figured they stay up a lot. Because a lot of their simple things require advanced thinking. I want you guys to realize there's really nothing simple because simplicity is complex. I want to thank you all.
What is
I
happening
can't
right
believe
now?
this tonight.
What is going
I
on
cannot
right
believe it
now?
I want to thank you all for allowing us to know that it was a simple process to get here. However, our simple process is complex.
It is very.
And because it's complex, we have to have simple solutions, which require the most advanced thinking. And guys,
You
on
know.
tonight,
Can you believe it?
I can't.
I want to let everybody know on tonight as we'll start. Well, I'll wait to the end.
Okay.
I'll
wait to the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll wait to the end.
So those who are watching,
Yes.
just remember about
We're
simplicity
coming back to simplicity.
and complex.
All right.
All right. Well, let's get this party started on tonight.
All right.
Let's get this conversation started.
They're trying to breathe out.
Yeah,
What
we're
else?
breathing. We're breathing in
Mm.
and out.
Oh gosh.
All right. So with that being said, we're going to kind of speak on what we were talking about last week about church culture and building relationships in the church.
That's good.
In your church.
Let's do it.
Your church.
My.
Again, remember, we are the church,
Yeah.
but building relationships in our church building.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So to bring you up to speed, I always like to define things. So culture. We're talking about church culture.
That's right.
All right. So culture in general, it is defined as all the ways of life, which is the arts, the beliefs that you have, the institutions of population, that is passed down from what generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So, but church culture, church, it shapes everything the way things are actually done in the actual church building.
Yeah.
And in the church, in us too as well. So, even with that being said, how do we determine our church culture? How do we determine it? People experience us in certain ways, and that's how we determine it. We determine it in what we service to the people. We determine it in our leadership styles. We determine it in the programs and things that we put in place for the church. So that is how we do that. But I wanted to also add this. What is culture in spirituality? In spirituality, culture is the language of the spiritual experience. So, how you experience your spiritual experience, that is the culture in the spirituality. All right. So, say that again.
I said, in the spirit.
In the spirit. So we started on the note of, what is the culture or what have you. And I know as we had our conversation on last week, we defined it, what we thought culture was, and we talked about a lot of how we grew up in the culture of the church back then. And we started talking about like the New Age church and how a lot of the New Age church have been saying that they don't want us to go back. But all of us was in agreement that, and some others I know, that we need to go back to some of the old ways because the old ways were working. working, right?
Mhm.
Right. So I know, Sharita, you had actually started
Oh.
with that.
Wow.
Started with that conversation. So I want us to kind of expound on why we actually need to go back to the old church, or bring, not all the way necessarily go back, but bring a lot of those principles and things that they had in place back.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Sylvia Carol. Thank you. Because I was going to say, not just going back to the old way, because you know, the church people, they're going, and we not supposed to go back to the old way because all things become new. Great, we got that. But you mentioned principles.
Okay.
And that's a better word. Some of the other principles, previous principles, previous structures, sort of, if we want to use those words.
Okay, that's good.
Because we're not talking about the spiritual culture right now.
No, we're not talking about the spiritual, not your experience.
We're talking about the regular culture here. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about how is your church principles? What is your foundations? Is your visions being carried out?
Oh, okay.
All right. What, even though you want to celebrate growth and discipleship, but how are you doing these things? Right.
And there needs to be some type of order to that,
we need order.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Organizational structures. All right. This is what you're asking. This is what I was saying when I meant the old way, not the old way as in the old man, but the structures of how we are organizing. Yes, we want growth. We want to move forward, but we also know there is a lack of reverence.
Yeah.
You sounding a little preachy.
Sorry, my tone went up. Just a lack of a little reverence to spiritual culture.
Okay.
So because the lack of the spiritual culture, it is really hindering the church in its newness.
For the structure, because we supposed to have the spiritual, and we're working the spiritual. A lot of times I think people equate the spiritual, of course, with the emotional moments that people are having in church or what have you, and we stay in those emotional moments, but we don't have any structure. We're not in the old ways. They set direction and vision too as well, right?
Correct. And it's not just setting it. It's got to be clear, concise,
get your sister face over,
understandable vision.
Right.
You can't
gotta have all of that
place
coupled together, right?
You can't. If we're gonna have, let's just say, classes, okay, we need structure. How we structuring the classes, and I think that's where a lot of churches are missing, because we all have these ideas, and they be good ideas, great ideas, outstanding ideas, because of course we're bringing our marketplace structures and organizational things intertwined with our church culture. Outside of this, we're all leaders in our capacities at work. Okay. If I can structure something at work, I know I should be able to transfer it over to the kingdom.
Oh, okay. Because what he planned for us,
he doing all things
right
there.
Okay, all right.
And so I feel like when we talk about the old way, it's not that we talking about go back to wooden benches and all of that. We're talking about, no, we're not saying go back the way they had these traditional, where the skirts, all the jewelry. That's not what we're talking about. But I think we have gotten away from some of the structural growth, which is hindering the spiritual growth, because we so consumed trying to get everything structural.
Okay.
And I think it's an issue because now we kind of lack in the reverence. We can't even reverence God, but we too busy trying to.
Okay.
We all over the place.
We're all over the place. Okay.
Yeah. I think we're really all over the place.
Okay. So how do you feel about that?
I'm just sitting here trying to take it all in, Jesus, because it's a lot being bounced around right now.
Right.
A lot happens.
Yeah,
it is a lot.
It is.
For me, I think we do have to be mindful of when we say the old way, because I think not everybody experienced the old way in a way that was like good or beneficial or pleasant.
Right.
Because for some people, the old way equates to tradition. It equates to legalism. It equates to a fear not a reverence,
Right.
because that's two
It's
different
different
things.
Two different
right?
things, right?
And so, yeah, I think it's just important that we really understand what we're saying when we say that we need the old principles, the old structures, the old ways of being. And so, what I don't hear us talking about though is practically what are those things?
Mhm.
What exactly are we referring to as the old way? What are the principles that we're referring to that depict the old way?
Okay. That was good that you said that because it segues kind of into my next kind of sort of question comment, but pretty much the way we understood each other. So our understanding of different things. And we understood with putting things in place, first and foremost, as we said, we're talking about relationship building in the church.
Right.
We understood what that meant because they modeled it for us.
Right.
And they, for pretty much, and I know that wasn't, like you said, everyone's experience, but majority of it was, we modeled it like we talked about last time. A lot of times, even though we weren't biologically aunties and uncles and cousins or whatever, that's your auntie, that's your uncle. So that relationship of family structure, what family should look like, it was in the church too as well.
Right.
And we brought that over. So I think that's one thing that I would say.
Yeah, because I feel like the in that retrospect, then yeah, I think we're missing that piece because a lot of times now you don't see that coming about in the church. You don't see it happening as much because most of the time everybody get out, boom, you go your own way. Or now because we have so many different services, every church different. Some churches got 3, some doing an hour of power, then they got a whole nother one. It's you got a service for the ones who got to go to early morning, they got to go to work, so you're giving them a little something. You got online church now.
Mm-hmm.
You got everybody not having that afternoon service anymore.
Right.
It's
almost like we're trying to cover all bases to appease everybody.
Right. So it's never really, honestly, everybody in most churches now are not even in the same place at the same time. Because it's so many different opportunities for you to go. Then you got
so that means back then in the old church, they ain't have all them choices.
No, you definitely want to get online.
You want to get no choices.
We don't even know IBM was.
It wasn't even IBM wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even a thing yet.
IBM wasn't a thing. You want a computer,
right?
And all you had was really church was your outing.
So
outside of the park and the pic, that's why you had the picnic over at the park because that was on the thing. Church was the next thing, and then you had your little movie theater if they allowed you to come in, or if you had the money to go to the movies. You didn't have,
or you had movie at the church with each other, right?
Popcorn
so do you all think that there are too many choices now in the church? When it comes to us trying to foster and build back up relationships, is it too many choices? And is that effective with us building healthy relationships?
I mean,
I know that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing because I think it's providing to people options, and there's nothing wrong with options, right?
Right.
But I also think that with options, there has to be a sense of intentionality. So how are we creating opportunities for people to connect? I think that's the question.
And being intentional about it.
Yeah. So, if there are moms, that have children or whatever, single moms or whatever, are we creating opportunities for those moms to either meet together or, for them to be able to go out and have childcare for the kids or something like that. It's like it's forecasting one's congregation to see what the need is, right? And to make sure that there are structures in place that really helps to meet that need. But I agree that there are a lot of options, but I think those options might also be necessary.
Yeah.
But in those options, are we creating the opportunity for community? Or do we have 50 million services and everybody's just kind of passing like two ships in the night, right? And we never really get to connect with people. So I can see the reasoning for it or the rationale, but I think in those instances, especially, we have a responsibility to create community.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about creating that community. But you said something, it got to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have all these small groups, small classes, all these options, and you don't have the manpower to man it, so it ends up faltering.
Right.
Because it wasn't planned appropriately, or it doesn't fall on just a certain minute group of people who are going to be consistent in making sure that the options and choices are valuable, but then you burn them out. So then that's also a hindrance to building a relationship, because the people who probably are your connectors get burnt out.
Ooh, that's good.
So now they burnt out. They like, whatever, I ain't even coming. Now the people stop coming because they were coming because of your connector.
That's good.
So that was real good.
All at us. We see you in the chat. We see you.
Okay.
What you think? What you saying? I see some say I don't think there are too many options because we have to meet the needs of the people. We totally agree. But what do we do when if my congregation is not staffed enough?
Right.
Yeah, and so that's a good thing too, because a lot of times, and we know this with work, and the same people who go to work go to church buildings too as well. When we give, and even with our students and people in general, when we give too many options, then we have too many people trying to make too many different decisions, or we may have like 5 at this option, 1 at this option, or we may have, let's say we got 10 people, we only got 2 coming to this one, 2 to this one, 2 to this one, 2 to this one. And then is that really being effective too? Because we're not getting everybody together all at once. And I know we may not get everybody all together at once, but at least proportioning it right so that everybody can build together.
Yeah. And I can honestly say that I appreciate the small spaces, and just like Auntie Sandy said, that as long as those spaces are effective, right? I think that's the important part. Like, it doesn't make sense to just do something for the sake of doing it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It has to be effective, and people have to be invested.
And
they have to get something out of it.
Because that's how you'll build a relationship in the church culture. Is because it'll be what you saying, valuable, effective. What word?
Effective.
Effective. Because I had another word I was holding to the side.
All right.
But because if it's not effective, they're not going to stick with it.
No.
That's what you're saying, consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it's not consistent and effective, they're not going to stick with it.
Right.
And that's good. And something that, y'all know I always say, it was the way we understand each other. One way is intimacy. So when you create those intimate moments, you're able to be more one-on-one with them. So you're able to draw them in a little more. And when you're consistent in that, then of course the effectiveness.
And I think too that that's what like old time discipleship looked like, right? It looked like intimacy, like it looked like community. It looked like coming together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes now, again, because church culture is the way that it is, I think there's so many pockets of people that are we miss them because they can just kind of fall off. You know what I mean? If we don't make sure that we're reaching out and we're connecting and doing those things. So yeah, I agree. This is
so we have a question. How do you help people reinvest in the church and build a community when they have been hurt by the church?
Yeah, they haven't been hurt by the church sweetness. They have been hurt by people.
Right.
And so we have to, we have to like reconcile. I was talking to a coworker today, and he said when he was talking to a client of his, he told them that the reason why Jesus said we have to forgive 70 times 7 is because we do not forget.
Right.
He didn't build us to forget. He built us to forgive. And so whenever we have those memories, that's our 70 times 7. We
Mhm.
have to remember to forgive, right?
Right.
And so we haven't been hurt by the church. We've been hurt by individuals within the church. And so I think we have to make that distinction, because we just hear church hurt so much,
Right.
but it was individuals within the church who we may have trusted,
Mhm.
that have hurt us.
Yeah.
And so it's about, healing those relationships. Every person isn't the same. So every church organization or entity is not the same.
Yeah.
And
every
so
person in that space is
it's
not the same. So
like
you got
could
hurt
have
by that
10,
one person.
exactly.
Or
you got 10
these
other
two
people
Right.
that was like
right.
rooting for you and fighting for you, and
Yeah.
then you have this one person who insults you or harm you, and because of that one person,
Exactly.
you negate the other 9 people.
Right.
And that's what I know from my
I
experience.
agree
I've seen that
100%.
over and over and over again. It's
Yeah.
like, well, did the pastor say something? Did the pastor? No, it wasn't the pastor. Did who? Oh, it was this
Mhm.
one person. She said my skirt too short. Okay, and so
Yeah.
that's you just gonna drop everything because of that,
Right. And getting them to a place where they cannot just drop.
Yeah.
Don't drop everything just because of that one little experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to come back and try
Try
again. Try
again.
someone else.
Yes.
So
Yes.
while you're healing from what that person that you try, because if not, it becomes unhealthy.
Yes. Yes.
And then it's unresolved conflicts, and then you get into the whole church hurt when you really just people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
People
a person.
hurt, it's a
Mhm.
person who attends the building.
Yes.
Right.
But
And again, and I know we hear this cliches, but hurt people, and it is true.
Absolutely.
And it is true.
In the church too. I
Yes.
think I really do
Yeah.
want to have the conversation about like unhealthy individuals, like either in leadership or otherwise. Like if you're unhealthy at home, you're probably going to be unhealthy at church.
Exactly.
If you're unhealthy at work, you're probably going to be unhealthy at church.
At the church.
There's no anointing that causes you not to be unhealthy.
Right.
After you come down and after you're done speaking in tongues, if you unhealthy, you will be unhealthy still.
Mhm.
And that's just the
Yeah.
truth. You know what I'm saying?
No,
It's
it's
like you
real.
come into the church and like all of the unhealthiness, all the gaslighting, all of
Right.
that
No.
somehow or another subsides.
Yeah, because God
No.
will use you in church in the
Absolutely.
spiritual realm.
Absolutely.
And it's not to negate, and it is good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But when you come out of the spiritual realm,
Mhm.
like
Just think about
you still-
Samson, y'all. Think about Samson. Samson killed multiple people, but when he came out of that thing, he was right there in Delilah lap.
He's
Yeah.
still
So,
yeah. See what I'm saying? Still
yes.
just sitting looking. Samson, now.
right.
Come on,
You
now.
just killed all these. Why
you
is your
go back.
Why is that? Because you was unhealthy in that area.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that is important to building community. Because then we have a lot of bouncing back and forth
It's true.
from this building to the next building over here,
Mhm.
and you still going into unhealthy
Yeah,
with
situation.
people that
Yeah.
situation. So I think all of this is key.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I will say this, and Bishop Wright will always say this: there is no perfect church.
Right.
But there is a perfect Christ.
My
so at
God.
least that there is someone there leading you to that perfect Christ.
Yeah.
All the bouncing around.
Right. Because
Yeah.
what I can't give you, he can.
Right.
You know. Woo.
And he'll make a way to give it to you.
My God.
But we
Thank
not
God.
gonna wait. We're not gonna
So listen, we only have a few minutes, guys.
Okay.
And we need to
Make an
make
announcement.
an announcement.
Yeah.
We need to make an announcement.
And so to all of you who have been riding with us over this past year, we want to say thank you and let you know how much we appreciate you. And so with that being said, we want to let you know that next week will be our last show for
this season.
This
For this
season.
season. For this
This
season.
season.
We'll say season.
okay. And
Because
so that's
there
it.
are some things brewing. There are some things brewing, but
Yes.
for this season.
And so we
Yes.
will definitely keep up with you all through our page. Our page is not going down. You can go back and watch the ones we've done, because I'll be going back and looking at them. But I think as we progress and we are growing in some areas, we are going to take a finale season break. All
Mhm,
right,
mhm.
and we're coming back, just not right now.
There are some other things brewing, so be on the lookout.
Yes.
Be on the lookout.
But we really appreciate you all. Next Tuesday, you
Yes.
don't want to miss next Tuesday.
We hear you, Auntie Sandy.
We going out.
We hear you,
We
Auntie
are going to go
Sandy.
out with the band. We do want to thank them. They
Yes.
are have been so gracious to us.
Yes.
And so we don't take this opportunity lightly. We have been broadcast across the nation.
Mhm.
But we are going to be doing a finale. But Jaleesa, don't worry. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Catch the
Go
former
back and watch the
episodes.
other ones.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, you'll be blessed.
Yes.
And catch us next Tuesday, guys.
We
Next
will be back.
Tuesday,
Next
we'll see you.
Tuesdays, we will see you for
Bye,
our
guys.
finale.